People's perceptions matter too. I've noticed young people laughing at my tremors. I've also seen people on the bus come up to me and say, you know, Parkinson's, it shows, sit down, take my seat. You lose confidence in yourself. It's very complicated to come in wanting to play Marilyn Monroe and to tremble on the left side. I was overworking and felt an abnormal level of fatigue that seemed beyond what one should normally experience. I was having many nightmares and still do. And that's a sign. Unfortunately, it's one of the signs of Parkinson's that we find in Parkinson's patients. It's a disease of the central nervous system. My chances of having this disease are 15% higher because my father had it, according to experts. So it's not much. In reality, we can't really say that it's a genetic disease. I never heard my father complain. He didn't have any of the symptoms I have. That is, he didn't shake at all. And I realized it rather at the end of his life, since he was no longer independent. From my 10 years to my 48 years, I had no symptoms that were really present enough for me to worry about. 48 years old, when I started having these symptoms, a trembling finger doesn't hurt. A decade later, I can say it hurts, as it trembles much more now. As it trembles more, it causes many muscle contractions, which are the source of pain. It's very tiring to tremble. It's a thing, it's hell. And then there's also the way others look at it, which is very unpleasant. You feel watched and unwell, mourning yourself. In other words, it's over. The person who will always be in good health, always sparkling, always crazy about doing everything. And this morning, it goes first through denial. At the beginning, there's a thing, no, I don't want to be sick, so I won't be sick. So we do everything and anything to prove to ourselves that we're not, including even hurting ourselves by doing too much sport, etc. And then after that, there's anger. Why me? It's unfair. What have I done in my life to get sick in this way? I can say that I have put years to truly accept it, and maybe it's because I truly accept it now that I can talk about it. I think people indeed see you as a fragile person. I saw some young people in particular laughing because I was shaking. I also saw people on the bus who came up to me saying, you know, Parkinson's, it shows, sit down, take my place. Kindness, on the other hand, is essential. It is essential to be able to cope. Because in fact, if everyone was mocking or everyone was laughing in the street, it would be horrible. And I'm lucky to be in a benevolent environment, which of course gives us more self-confidence. It's very complicated to arrive and to tremble. On the left side, I tended to be a girl who moved forward and was used to getting looks. Friendly. We have a problem, which is that we have a lot more difficulty projecting ourselves into the future with an illness than when we are in good health. Because the future is uncertain. I don't know if I'll be able to walk in what I consider tomorrow, which could be several months from now. It's very complicated to manage to go to work. Illness, because I think that first you need to have people who accept your illness, and then you need to keep you in the position and in the post to still manage to do one's job. At first, it's very, very important for oneself, for one's personal pride, to be able to continue. And then, because it's important to have social ties, that is to say, to arrive at the office in the morning, to be able to say hello to colleagues, meet people, and to leave all that, it would be to mourn something else. After a decade, I was getting exhausted, so I'm now on therapeutic part-time work. It allows me to have this little dose during the week. And besides, to still have enough time to do a lot more sports, a lot more for myself. Go swimming, go to a hammam to relax the muscles, to see a physiotherapist, an osteopath. I have no help. Simply, I have a MDPH card that allows me to skip the lines. That is to say, if there is too much waiting, it is recognized that waiting in a line, in a queue, or standing in the subway, it's not going to be very good for me. I didn't even get parking in the disabled spots. For now, they do not recognize that I have a physically disabling percentage. France Parkinson is an association, just like there's also Parkinson Quebec, which are very active associations. Since there's one in each department, there's a France Parkinson. However, we realize that people often don't have access to it until they have sick people around them. Normally, it's a disease that we think is a disease of elderly people. We recognize that increasingly younger people are being affected today. And we have people in ping pong who are between 30 and 40 years old. I mean, it's scary, there's no information, it's not circulating. People are growing increasingly concerned as we realize that this disease is affecting more and more people around us. I think the presence of my daughter was absolutely essential. One of the first things that made me indeed almost find it funny to be sick. One morning, Iris told me I was shaking. She said there was quite a party in the village. We have to take it like that, and not as a despair, because otherwise we will never get out of it. So Parky Pote, actually it was with Iris. We had the idea to create an Instagram account. On Christmas Day, something is born like that which comes from a mother and her daughter, or from a daughter and her mother. I was the one who suggested to my daughter to create an Instagram account because I wanted to start a channel about Madisse on YouTube. We started the first video, I'm sorry, but it still moves me. As we started the first video, we suddenly saw the viewer count rapidly increase from 1 to 5,000 people. I tell myself, but I know maybe if I know 100 people in Paris, and even then, that's a big max. And today, this video, it's at 22,000 or 23,000 people who have come to see this video. But it was crazy.
Little story to say that we both came out of the Japanese and it was very good, and that we spoke about our Instagram account. Let's Sparkly Potes. Do you like it as a project?
Great, I love it. I think that from that moment on, I started to recover. Our idea was to accompany, to be able to make understand, to explain. Little things also that I had found daily to relieve me a bit. Pains from a lot of things and being able to share them with people who had the same pains. And it's just a tale on which we hope to be able to exchange, to make understand, to talk about the disease. At the birth of Iris, I was not sick at all. It was declared 11 years later. I tried to be as discreet as possible with my illness. And she was aware of it, but she was as discreet as me and I. I didn't want to disturb her in her adolescence either, so I told her, listen, I have this disease called Parkinson's disease, but I don't want you to go on the internet to look up what they say about this disease because I find that awful. There was a bond that was very, very strong. She had immense empathy for the disease and of kindness and tenderness as well. It's very sweet because I remember one of the sentences she told me, well, it's not serious, Mom, because like this, I have a mom who is not like the others. I find it super adorable for an 11-year-old to say things like that. As for me, it turns out that I am lucky to have what they call a slowly degenerating Parkinson's disease, what they call a mild Parkinson's disease. It's not as severe as others who after 10 years can no longer walk and find themselves split in two. It's the dopaminergic neurons that are dying because they are suffocated by a protein called alpha-synuclein protein. Absence of certain neurons causes this. All the discomforts and symptoms of Parkinson's. I can list mine already, but there are over 100 symptoms that have been listed, catalogued on Parkinson's. In fact, every patient has Parkinson's. I don't have the same Parkinson's as my buddies with whom I do sports. For example, we're going to have Parkinson's patients who are going to be very stiff, just stiff, but who won't have any tremors. And me, I have a lot of tremors. My whole left side shakes, and now on the right side, I'm stiff. That means I have a kind of very strange imbalance. That is, on the left I shake, and on the right I'm stiff, which is really nice, especially in the morning. These neurodegenerative diseases, they are not like someone who is going to be sick, who is going to be in a bed, or then a cancer where you have to do chemotherapy. It has nothing to do with it. It is also part of the disabilities that we could say are a bit visible, invisible. Because when you are on, that is to say with the medications, we don't see that you are sick, so everything is fine, life is beautiful. Suddenly it becomes visible. We start shaking like a leaf, and from that moment, everything collapses inside. Unfortunately, the medications don't always have effects. At the time, we would like them to have an effect. They are regular intake medications. So there is, it's a kind of clock. I do 9 o'clock, 30 in the morning, noon, 4 o'clock, 20 o'clock. If I feel like partying a bit midnight, So like that, I last until 4 o'clock in the morning. Basically, in fact, the medications, they have a virtue. It's that they actually camouflage all the Parkinsonian symptoms. Parkinson's patients may have varying experiences with medications. That is to say, I still have the luck to have hours where I feel normal, but it does not cure the disease. What hurts a bit in this matter is that we say I take medications, they still pollute my body. We must not dream that there is no harmless medication. There are many side effects to medications, which can be dyskinesia, other tremors, fatigue, anxiety, depression. And we don't know if it's the disease or the medications that are causing these discomforts. So at some point, everything starts to mix together, and it's complicated to gradually sort things out. In fact, I see that some medications are not working as well, so we have to increase the doses. So I'm not taking more, but I'm taking medications at a higher dose. We already in pain, one more pain, it's unbearable. So the disease, you want it to disappear. For 10 years, I had a very good neurologist named Mark Ziegler, who was one of the pioneers in Parkinson's disease and who devoted almost his entire career to this disease. I was lucky to be followed by this gentleman who was of incredible humanity and crazy generosity, but not everyone is that lucky. I also know a lot of people now who have Parkinson's and who have treatments that create a lot of side effects that are terrible. For now, no treatment has been discovered, but like many diseases, one thing that scares me about all diseases today is that we don't treat the causes, we treat the consequences or symptoms. It's wild to think that at 48 years old, I'm going to take this on. Medication for the rest of my life. Researchers today are very focused on microbiota research. They have realized that there are forms of microbiota. There's a lot of discussion about the second brain, our intestines, and today we'll be discussing the transmission of Parkinson's disease through the intestines via the vagus nerve. For example, they have found a new drug called bifiradol, which is currently undergoing clinical trials, and which apparently would help to alleviate the symptoms of Parkinson's. Without the side effects of current drugs, this drug needs to be tested, like others. It won't be released before 2030. I don't know on which floor it would be, but it's too late. Additionally, there is new and fantastic information from this morning. There is a new test that is under study and which, by taking fluid in cerebrospinal, that is to say in the brain, we will be able to find out if the person is going to have Parkinson's disease or already has it, but in a very minute way. That is to say, we will be able to anticipate the disease, which will allow, in fact, also to take the disease at the root, and therefore to be able to, let's say over a minimum of 10 years, we will surely be able to stop this disease. That means people like Iris, like my daughter, we can say they are out of trouble. If they ever have Parkinson's disease, they will know beforehand, and so they can actually stop it before the disease develops. If I meet someone who has just been diagnosed with Parkinson's, I would tell them to be careful with medications, to be economical, but not stingy with medications. Never give up, always fight, absolutely must move as much as possible. He is not afraid of the disease. It is scary, but in fact, it does not kill you either.